Well, good morning to you again, once again. Mama V, how are you?
Good morning, I am blessed.
Happy Father's Day. Sorry. Yeah, extension to your husband. Mr. Usobaji, good morning to you, Clyde. And
what would you want for Father's Day?
I think that a hug for my two boys will be fine.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
Just knowing that
you just gave me an idea, because like I've been dead on ideas.
I think a hug for my two boys. Yeah, they're just awesome. Yeah.
Okay, what would you want from your wife?
As a Father's Day gift. I don't know. Anything.
Okay, it's not like you are her father.
Yeah,
so
I'm
yeah.
not really. I'm not sure she's ever living. She can live.
She can live.
Because I'm sure if I was the type of father that she had, terrible.
Well, good morning to all of you. If you're just joining us here on the AM show, it's time for us to do a few things we love to do on the show. One will be our little money moments, where we contribute to our money box every morning. It's a way of, you know, all of us doing it together to encourage all of us to save, save. You know, like
they do the missing link in the plane, like when the
safety.
Yeah.
So we contribute 20 Ghana cedis each. And we appreciate the fact that you're doing this along with us. So whatever the purpose for the savings, we encourage you to continuously do it. It's consistency that we're trying to achieve.
And I want to say good morning to you, DSP Albert Deleche of the Odan MTTD. Great discussion we always have on why you think this is a motivating factor in the lives of many viewers, and we think that we also love it. We're not saying this is the only investment that we all do.
Yeah, definitely.
Indeed, it kind of gives a certain consciousness that you have to save. Yeah. So that's all for you. And this one also is for you, Salifu Combat, and you are a pharmacist by profession at the Boku District Hospital, and we say good morning to you, as well as Dr. Sana. You have a whole company, medical company, and you do all sorts of things for the people of Boku and the surroundings. Good morning to you as well.
Okay, let's do the newspapers.
Right,
and then we will talk about the conversation we have with Uncle Abel White later this morning. But let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper.
And I know many difficult women in my life, so strict, etc. One of them is on the front page.
Oh no, I won't say quite that. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. CJ nominee gets there in Parliament today. We're sharing, facts about our new Chief Justice, who is going to be vetted today. Emerge from Ramadan to promote national peace, unity, VIP tells Muslims at iftar. But the banner headline here: magistrate debars journalists from covering trial of killers of JB. And our colleague Joseph Akable was himself in the courts yesterday. Was he part of those who were driven out? He joins us via phone. Joseph Akable, good morning to you. Hello, Joseph. Joseph? Okay, we don't seem to have Joseph on the line. But when we do, we would ask what the experience was with this story that's making front page headline in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Is it a new trend? What's the law, if they quoted any law to do this? Also, irate MPP youth against Sablugu MCE. That story, page 17 in the Daily Graphic newspaper of today. A bit of it's in the paper. Okay, where are we? 17. Yeah. Okay, we're almost there now. Okay, so 17 in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Some irate youth of the New Patriotic Party in the Sablugu constituency yesterday morning locked up the Sablugu Nantom Municipal Assembly office in the northern region to protest against the nomination of Hajia Aisha Seidu as the municipal chief executive for the area. The youth, as early as 6 a.m., said to be wielding machetes, sticks, and other offensive weapons, stormed the assembly and overpowered the few policemen who had been deployed there to provide security. The youth ended up locking up one policeman who refused to vacate the premises. What we also do know about this issue, there's a lot more in the story though, is the fact that no arrest has been made. These young people vowing that they will not prevent Hajia even though she's been duly sworn in. She was.
You mean they'll prevent Hajia?
They'll prevent Hajia from settling down and working.
But is this not just mere lawlessness?
Yeah, it is.
Because I don't understand why these groupings, whether they're from the MPP or wherever they are from, are just doing what they are doing. It's so undemocratic and a bit disrespectful to the president who appointed these people.
True.
I think it's a bit unfair.
We'll talk a lot more.
It doesn't matter.
But let's go back to this story.
It doesn't matter if that person contributed to a campaign. We're talking about the ability of the person to be able to manage a certain administrative area. Yeah,
they know all this, but they're insisting on what they're insisting on. We'll visit that story, but let's go back to this story of journalists being driven out of the courtroom yesterday. Journalists were there to cover the trial of the late J.B. Danko-Edu. And Joseph Akable was one of those who was asked to leave. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Mama V.
I want to understand how this whole thing happened. So you were sitting in the courtroom and then they said, get out?
So it all actually happened. What transpired was that we got to the court premises at about 9 a.m. and we were waiting for the two accused persons to be brought in. So we had not entered the courtroom yet. We were waiting outside because there were two courtrooms and we didn't know which exact one they will be taken to. So we waited patiently. Now, when the police officers brought in the two suspects, they took them to a first courtroom, which we all entered that courtroom, and we were later told that they had to move to the other courtroom. So together with the police and accused persons, we all exited that first courtroom and entered the second courtroom. Now, right at the instance of entering the second courtroom, the magistrate was in her seat. There were people in the courtroom. Proceedings were ongoing. Then at that point, he just said, who are those entering the courtroom, and that we should step out of the courtroom without even inquiring what is business we had in place or why we had come into the courtroom. So for those who were already in, he again insisted, directing the court warrant officer, that court warrant officer, get them out. So at that point, we exited and stood by the doorway where we could see her directly so that we could still hear what was transpiring inside. But he then again said that the spectators at that side, we should move away so that fresh air could come into the courtroom. So we had to move away completely. And at that point, we kept engaging the court warrant officer outside, drawing his attention that we belong to the Judicial Press Corps, an accredited body by the Judicial Service and recognized to have access to the courtroom, for which reason we were there. So he should draw the attention of the magistrates to that, but he didn't do. He just kept saying that the order is that we shouldn't be allowed into the courtroom. So for which reason we had to stand outside and wait for proceedings to end.
But Joseph, you're not new to the courts. Usually, what's the procedure? Are you supposed to be seated, whether as a journalist or an ordinary person, before the judge enters the courtroom? Perhaps if the judge is seated, he or she doesn't expect any movements.
Well, that is not entirely a rule that I would say it is cast in stone, in a sense that even at the Supreme Court, when you are inside the court before the justices come in, the procedure is that we all stand up for them to come in. But in circumstances where they are already seated and conducting the hearing, when you walk in, you just are allowed to enter and sit down. I mean, there have been countless times different courts, right from district courts through to a high court and subsequently Supreme Courts, where the justices are seated or the judges are seated before we walk in. Yes, the point really is that you should just walk in calmly and take your seat, not to distract proceedings so much.
So she specifically also asked journalists who were seated to be walked out?
Yes. In fact, at the point where she gave the order, there were some who had already entered. So she asked that they should be asked to move from the courtroom. So at that point, even those who, so apart from those who did not even get opportunity to step into the courtroom itself, there were those who were in that had to be moved out by the court warrant officer who walked closer to them and asked that we exit the courtroom. So it was a case of just standing outside the main structure and just waiting patiently to see what would actually transpire within the court and hoping to get that information from those who were in the courtroom for other business as well.
Yeah, but finally, Joseph, is there any bad experiences with this particular judge? Perhaps some of you have misquoted her in reports that you've done earlier. You know, any incidents that you recall readily?
In fact, Mama V, this is the first time I am covering this particular judge. it is the one she has replaced. This is not, in terms of this case, it was assigned to one Ifia Jechiwasaki, a magistrate. It is she who I've had an experience with. So this judge more or less came to relieve her since Ifua Jechiwasaki is on leave. Now for Ifua Jechiwasaki, the experience we had with her was during the case involving businessman Ibrahim Mahama and Snake, when she ordered that we shouldn't take notes in the courtroom and that we should just listen to proceedings. So it's a that we've had that experience with. And in fact, the first time this case was in court, when we went, she did make a joke out of that particular development that happened the first time we went to her courtroom. So this judge, this was the first time we were appearing before her court. It was a case of her relieving someone and the matter being brought before her. But it's something that the Judicial Press Corps is concerned about. And in fact, just this morning, we are preparing a petition and forwarding that to the office of the acting Chief Justice, drawing his attention to the development because we've been covering the court and we have the view that such things should not be happening, especially when we know very well that when you misreport, the judges will not hesitate to drag you into the courtroom and cite you for contempt if need be. So we want to be allowed that space to operate in the courtroom as clearly as possible.
Yeah. Would you go to a courtroom again, though?
Definitely. Today there are a couple of cases that I'll be following keenly. So I'll be making it there. I just hope that we don't have any such experience again.
Okay. Joseph, thank you very much. We're sorry for your experience yesterday, though. So this story, which is in the Daily Graphic newspaper, we're just asking our colleague Joseph Akable, who happens to also be in the courts and was not allowed into the courtroom. Magistrates debars journalists from covering trial.
That would be some way, pow.
JB. Some way, Charlie.
But I've been bad from covering, maybe making entry into some main case, even at the lower courts before. Back in the day, it depends on how sensitive.
I think it's one of the questions that we should put to the CJ this morning.
Is it wrong?
What does she make of this case of journalists who were asked not to enter the courtroom? We know a few of the MPs who are on the committee, so we'll pass our questions.
I guess it was always going to be a controversial issue, especially when you have to sack journalists from covering. And especially also when we become more vibrant than before.
It's true.
Yes, back in the day, I mean, you could sack me, I wouldn't have any platform like social media to go and vent my spleen. But
they're presenting a petition, which is laudable. I mean, they're going through a certain process.
Let's see how they come up with that.
We'll do the Times, Roland?
Yes, we'll do the Ghanaian Times, and on the front page, 3 suspects arrested, murder weapons retrieved, and you just have to look at the paper, front page, just on your screens, and you get to know that, Charlie, people have guns, so serious guns in Ghana. Look at their face. Asafwa Chekote, Musa Mohammed, and Rahim Yakubu. Well, we have government to establish police fund for personnel killed on duty. Roberts kill footballer 27.
But they don't have a fund yet?
They don't. They need to do a replication of what they have made. And then we have GCA installs new air control system, and you have a picture there of Mrs. Asante briefing Ms. Cecilia Abnadapa and the delegation from the Ministry of Aviation. But the minister is ordering closure of illegal routes on Tema motorway, and I'm always using the route. At least I use it twice a day. The illegal sections.
Is it causing some inconvenience?
When we have traffic, not in terms of the volumes or the vehicles coming rapidly, it's not a good thing. Because when you're traveling on the motorway, it's supposed to be a speeding lane.
You don't expect people to cut in.
No. And you never know. Somebody may misconstrue or perhaps may misjudge the distance of entry to the oncoming car.
It's true.
And you're supposed to drive defensively, but on a highway.
That's a highway.
Yeah. It's like when I had the accident. It was a Nima highway. I needed to get to a certain level, even though normally I would speed. So it's a problem on the motorway. It's a huge problem, Amavi.
Well, knowing the kind of community that we live in, they probably would need police officers to be standing at all those points to ensure the right
over
thing
the
is
period
done.
They've tried consistently
and pray
to put
and hope that
police officers on the motorway, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm saying
but
if you want to.
But Mama V, that's a problem we have.
Yeah, our attitude in the community that we.
Our attitude means that we have to go beyond just the normal laws that will exist, let's say in the West.
Yeah.
And do the normal to make sure that the right things are done. Okay? And so you're not supposed to have a policeman on the motorway, but now you are compelled to because people's attitude.
Exactly.
People will drive on.
And even that, you must pray that you have the right officers.
You know, in the UK, a Ghanaian will never be driving and cut corners. But when they come to Ghana, the person will cut corner. Oh.
Because sometimes when you want to do the right thing, you will sit there for like forever.
No, but...
Yeah. Let's do the Finder. Front page of the Finder newspaper this day. Suspend new license for consultations and cabinet approval. Minister directs DVLA. And that's a lot of fallouts from this. A bit of the story I will share on page 2. Also, I almost committed suicide. That's Odate Lamte confessing there.
Wow.
109,376 units shot for recorded in 2016. That's in blood. And Sophia Kufu faces vetting today. The Odate Lamte story, definitely one of interest. That story.
Back in the day, I used to sit in for sports presenters, and he used to be on the show. And we had some intimate talk moments. And sometimes people's experiences are all not rosy as we tend to see from the outside.
Definitely.
Yes. I mean, I think
so.
Some
Former
of the
Ghana international Neodate Lamte has admitted for the first time that he considered committing suicide when he found out that he was not the biological father of the 3 children he had with his ex-wife Gloria Pierre. Odate has been speaking up about the trauma and emotional turmoil he had to endure after a court in Accra finally granted him divorce from his now estranged wife and also ruled that Gloria Pierre would not have a 50% share in Odate's.
But let me ask, all the children, is it all the children or some of them are his?
Okay, so Odate is married to Gloria Pierre hit the rocks about 3 years ago when DNA results revealed that the then 42-year-old never fathered any of his 3 children after 21 years of marriage. It was a chilling expose which became a subject of national and global interests. Yeah. So speaking to the press after the court's verdicts, the ex-football star said, but for God, he would have ended his life in the heat of
DNA. For a part of you, please call daughter. Let's do DNA.
This is like, perfect. Also on this day, when Father's Day is just 2 days away, when we have a conversation on what kind of legacy, what kind of inheritance as a father is appropriate to leave for your children.
But I would want to ask you, just from your layman's eye, is it not going to psychologically affect the children, knowing that somebody they've looked up to, let's say for 19 years or 20 years, is not their father?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's a kind of tricky situation. If you're looking at the children,
I'm even thinking about how he will relate to them.
I will probably take care of the children if I was him, just because they're children and it's not their faults. And the fact that they don't know anything about this. No. I mean, they didn't call for this to happen.
Yeah, you can dole out money for school fees and take them out but you wouldn't be the real father.
But you see, the point is
you can play a fatherly figure. But
I think you can grow out of it. It's probably easy to say now, but I'm sure that it's something that
you and I, it's not.
But I'm thinking, listen, if you've taken care of these kids, they've looked up to you as daddy, and they've called you daddy. They're innocent. They don't have any idea that this is what mommy did.
And especially when the issue is public, it's traumatic.
It will be difficult. I think it will be difficult for him, but it will also be extremely difficult for the children. That's the angle that we don't share most. In fact, we hardly even talk about
children.
This is hard, man. This is hard. Like, what would you do if you were in his shoes? This one, you can't judge him. Whatever decision he decides to take, that's his decision. It's not in our place. We don't have the rights, even though we comment on other issues. This one, we don't have the right to.
I can't comment on this because I don't know how the woman even feels. Because
you don't know how you.
Yes. No. I mean, we've been talking about Odate and the kids. I don't even know, because maybe the woman may have grown out of it. Maybe at the time that it was discovered.
Charlie, as for what she did, dear, Massa. This one, we're talking about the children. We're not looking at the woman. Yeah. As for the woman, like, I won't look at her twice because I don't want to have any emotions. So just let her stay. But it's just the children. is just the children right now. She knew what she was doing. The children didn't know.
No.
Yeah. A bit of this other story on page 2. The Ministry of Transport has directed the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority to suspend with immediate effect the introduction of smart driver's license and vehicle registration cards slated to take effect July 18. The letter dated June 14, 2017, intercepted by the finder, ordered that the 2 projects should be suspended until the necessary approvals have been sought. The letter, signed by Sector Transport Minister Kweku Ofori Esiama, was addressed to the Chief Executive of DVLA, Kwesi Agyeman-Busia, and copied to the Vice President and a couple of other people. There's a quote. I wish to refer you to the discussion I had with you on the subject, for which drew your attention to the need to obtain approval from the Ministry and Cabinet before implementation of such major projects. You can read a lot more about that in the Finder newspaper. Roland, that's the paper.
All right, so we have the Daily Guide. Also had on front page, Ministers of DVLA over new driver's license. We're told that it's a smart something electronic.
Hey, and listen, we were all excited about it. I
was looking forward to it. Yeah, I was looking forward, no matter the course. I thought that we needed to graduate from the current state. You see, when technology and the world is evolving, we also need to move alongside.
I think the only problem, Roland, is if we knew we were going to change it, why did we go through all the wahala last year and 2 years ago?
No, are you saying that...
It was a long-term plan.
No. Are you saying that because we'll be introducing a new passport, let's say, I'm talking hypothetically, next month, it means that you can't do acquisition of the current state in the way they issue passport today, because you have to travel today.
Yeah, but
the new license will be, let's say, in September.
You have a point.
The new passport will be in September. Do you get me? So sometimes I think that I don't know whether as a society we become intolerable.
I think what we should also interrogate is, was this part of the plans
for the DVLA?
Yeah, exactly. Is it a plan that an existing plan? So this is just a continuation of something that's already in existence, or he's taking this action because he's new and this is what he wants to do. Because if he's new and this is what he wants to do, then it's probably too early, too soon.
Okay.
But this is if this is continuing.
I've been trying to get an interview
then we can also interrogate why the
ministry
is stopping if it's something that has been in their books and in their plans. You get what I mean?
Let's see how it goes. But I think that as a country we need to embrace new things. This one will definitely have to come back. I think only that at a later date, not now. We also have more arrests over Major Mahama, chief killers nabbed. And then we have NDC blasts YEA. And we're having a YEA in a conversation today.
From 8 a.m., yes, we speak to the YEA. They've been in the news. The minority had a presser briefing, yesterday on this subject. Remember, they did with the revelations that they had halted payment to quite a number of people because they suspected, things were not exactly right. And they've given themselves about a month. If people don't come forward with the legitimate documents that says they're duly employed to be paid, then they're going to get their names out of their payroll.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see how that conversation goes. In the meantime, we know that people send us messages every day to tell the YEA to pay us. Well, we'll have the deputy boss in studio this morning, so you can put your questions forward to him.
And so we have the Daily Dispatch, and the last but one paper we'll be looking at. Appeal for Reed's bombshell and MPP. MPP punished me for fighting corruption. We have housing conditions in Ghana. The story is on page 3 of the paper. And that's the Daily Dispatch newspaper. You go to the back page, you have a lot more of the updates of the stories there. But the last paper we're looking at is the Business and Financial Times. Is Africa's leading provider of business information, it says. Modern papers in South Africa, etc. We have oil output dips by 13.7%. The story is on page 3 of the paper. Osafo Stokes power subsidy debate. Let me just read this. I was looking through the paper earlier. I said, well, I thought subsidy. The politicians, when they talk, sometimes the reality in power is different. Senior Minister Osafo Mafo has opposed the idea of totally abolishing subsidy on electricity supply, arguing that various situations may necessitate the subsidizing of power to a section of consumers. Okay, we're told that you don't have to subsidize. Now they say subsidize. And then when the debts pile up, we can pay. So we're going to have the same problem. Ghana, we don't learn our lessons.
We're going to go online in a little bit.
We want to please the voters,
in
like
the
us.
meantime, we've got some of your messages, so we'll read it and get ready.
You know, the voters in Ghana, they travel to the UK, they'll pay full rates. But when they come to Ghana, they say...
Roland, don't even begin. Don't. Abu Intamali says, the greatest legacy a father can leave for his child is humility, respect for societal values,
education, culture
of sharing, endurance, consistency in life, and hard work.
Sir?
Yeah.
No education.
Abu? Oh, I'm sure it's in between somewhere. What, you think the greatest is education? Education is not all. You haven't seen people who are really educated, but they don't have home sense.
Yeah. You have all this. You have all this, but you need education.
But education is basic. I guess maybe that's the understanding from the message. Maybe
what he's saying.
Yeah, as for education.
Why is he sending a message for Islegon?
Tamale.
No.
This one says, good morning. A father's greatest legacy to his wards would be to position them to handle their own future by educating them, teach them how to fish rather than giving them the fish to eat for a day. That's from Raymond in Jeluko.
Mama says if they teach you how to fish, you'll be rude.
This one says, every father wants to leave a legacy, but for what I know, when a poor man loves his kids, nobody can recognize. My prayer is that may all fathers get little to cater for their children. Okay, Sepa. I'm not sure I quite understand your message, but thank you for sending it through. Let's do the online review quickly, Roland.
So we do online PR questions. Ghana gas over missing $46.7 million. Next story. And then we have Dr. Jan at 50. A crowning glory to a career still in motion. Next story. Savilogo clashes. I'm trying to get in. I didn't follow these stories.
What's the Savilogo? Oh, it's a group of MPP guys who do not agree to their MCE running the assembly.
Okay, he's been appointed.
She's
approved?
She's been appointed. They voted
and approved
on her. She's been approved. There's been like a formal inaugural ceremony. She's supposed to be working, running her office.
And she can't sit in the
office.
But
they vowed, and they're saying that they didn't see her. She hasn't been involved in their politics. She's not even registered as a voter in that community.
But she's a member of the MPP?
They say they don't know her, so they will not let her be as MCE. So the first time she went to her office, police people had to go with her. And so they've gone to lock up her office. And the police people, even though these young guys who are taking this action, they've been speaking, and it's not like anonymously. They've got names so they can be identified because they are local party boys. You get what I mean? And the police people say they haven't made any arrests. So yesterday, when the people went to the office and they went there, they said when they scatter, so they didn't see anybody. They haven't made any
Ghana
arrests.
police.
No.
Ghana police.
This is it.
Next one.
When you pamper them, that's what will happen. So that's the standoff. MC can't work.
Nominee likely to endure 10 hours of vetting Friday. We know this will be live here on this channel, so please do stay on. And then let's scroll up and get other stories. Published list of deleted beneficiaries. We'll discuss this today. So let's scroll up and get some other stories there. We have Manasseh's folder. We have CJ likely to endure hours. A woman steals donated clothes from church, etc. And Facebook acts on terrorist content, etc.
Yeah.
Now let's go to City FM.
So Fire Kufu is the biggest today, really.
We have other stories there about facing vetting, able to challenge UW closure in courts. Journalist
that case will be heard today, not that case. So we'll probably bring an end to it.
We have lawyer Kisia Jabin to the police to reinstate his client in a gold scam, and this is all going. I don't know. I hope this one doesn't turn out to be DCOP.
Oh, there's also another one. Patrick Timbela, that case also outstanding.
He's also lingering somewhere in the background.
That's also outstanding. Okay, so Nelson Kweku Danso, you say it's your birthday today. Happy birthday. You're CEO of Mother's Aura Foundation. It's your birthday today. We thank God for your life. Happy birthday.
But before we go, there's a tragic one. Lesotho Prime Minister's wife shot dead. And this one is just fresh. will be inaugurated into office and the wife is already dead. The wife was going around town or just about making entry into town, went to her assailant, swooped on them. She was walking or traveling with another person, and they just shot. Children die as flooded homes collapse. Heavy rains in Nigeria. Niger's capital Niamey caused homes to collapse and badly damaged a market. And deadly attack on Mogadishu restaurants continue. Egypt's parliament approves island deal. So those are the things we have on the Africa page of the BBC. But for now, we have to bring you one or two other messages. And we've been asking you what's the greatest legacy you can leave your children as a father. And many of you have been giving us great insight into what you understand by the question and what you live to your children.
We'll save all that when we settle down with one of our favorites.
Because there's a question we're posing to him.
Clever White is in the studio with us. We'll have a whole hour with him.
Great.
With all your questions and your comments as well. And Maxwell Agbagba is somewhere in town today. Okay, so there's this. Hi, I'm Clever White. Can we talk? We stole this from somewhere. Yeah, we can talk on the show this morning.
I'm Clever White. Can we talk? Hi.
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk. We can talk about what a father's inheritance should mean to you. Maxwell will have a conversation with a group of young fathers, because we know that it's very challenging these days. How do people like Roland manage with the challenges? We'll talk about exciting moments as well, and we'll talk about in the era of gadgets and making time for the family, all here on the show.
Mama V puts her gadgets away when she's home, and then makes time as well.
Yeah.
She's so chiseled.
If only all fathers could do same.